Good afternoon, Vietnam. No, it does never works out that way whenever you do it in the afternoon. But good afternoon anyway. Good evening to everybody hanging out here. Welcome into the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling podcast. And for the first time in 2026, the Big Five project is back. It's probably at least a month and a half overdue. We've all had some busy stuff going on, things that we're doing. But we're here today to talk to you guys about mostly SummerSlam 1996. Of course, took like Ray was like, he must have been waiting in there before we ever even got on the air. Because as soon as we jumped on here, our good friend Raymond S. Cashington Esquire already messaging us. Thank you, Ray. Hopefully you'll stick around for this. It's going to be better than WrestleMania 2. I'm just going to tell you, Ray, it'll be better than WrestleMania 2. But it's been a while coming, and I think before we get into anything, let's address kind of sort of the elephant in the room about this episode. This was supposed to be our first ever side quest on the Big Five project. We were supposed to do, Ray, we were supposed to do the recap of Bash at the Beach 96. Right? This was going to be our first side project. It was the first thing that we looked at. We said, this is a big enough event that it could go outside of the whole WWE universe or umbrella and talk about it. And then we had this big issue where everything left the cock and no one was sure where things were going to go with the WWE pay-per-view library. And then it all migrated to Netflix. And I say all of it migrated to Netflix with one pretty major, well, some major exceptions, and that's the WCW library. Nobody could find that. As Tunney and I have talked about this several times, Bash at the Beach 1996, for some reason, the WWE Vault has like every other Bash at the Beach full card.
You can get the final match and what happens at the end, which is really the main reason that we want to include all of this.
And that's all we're going to talk about.
And I think you can get one other match. I don't even remember who's in it, but like we talked about it, the card isn't that spectacular. There's a lot better WCW cards for pay-per-views like right before it and like coming up after it. So not a huge miss, but I mean, how apropos is it that Dennis Rodman's going into the WWE Hall of Fame too?
There you go. And as we're talking about WWE Hall of Famers, I think it's only fair that we send our condolences and our best wishes to the family of Chuck Norris. We lost a true legend earlier today, lost Mean Joe Green earlier today.
Mean Joe Green's alive.
No, Mean Joe Green's still alive, brother.
Mean Joe Green's alive. Yeah.
Really?
They've retracted that.
Somebody retracted that.
But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Chuck Norris got a waitress pregnant in Detroit. He was in Denver. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the world down. Chuck Norris's tears cure cancer.
Chuck Norris behind Chuck Death's ass.
You know what's behind Chuck Norris's goatee? Another fist to punch you in the throat.
Yeah, Lone Wolf McQuaid. It sucks that he's gone. But that's good news about Mean Joe that was retracted, and I had no idea. I know Patrick had sent me something earlier. I think Patrick actually sent me a DM on X for the first time since I got suspended. I'm like, do you actually realize you can't actually see me? I'm just like this member, the biggest member on the DMs and that sort of thing. Anyway.
Such a big member.
Such a big member. What we're going to be talking about here today is we pivoted to go to the next event in the calendar, and that will be SummerSlam 1996. We will, of course, touch on the end of Bash at the Beach 96 because it is the night that everything changed and probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest moments in pro wrestling history. We will talk about that. But before we get into any of that, let me welcome in my two guys, my two biggest partners in crime on the Big Five project, welcoming in him, my bestie in all things podcasting, the man, the myth, the legend, all things chair shot related, the one and only PC Tunney.
Hi guys. I'm so happy now. Like we're right where I want to be. We're out of the shit. My boy Mick is in the house now, causing havoc, and it's really, to be honest with you, this is the start. This is like the end of my freshman year of high school, and I just got back into WWE at the end of that, and this is where I start taping Raw and watching Nitro and then staying up and watching Raw after Nitro when I was in high school. That's how hardcore it was.
Yeah, and I mean, we are getting to the good stuff. I mean, the stench of 1995 still lingers with this event we're going to be talking about here today because it's not all great, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. Welcoming back into the show, wearing a shirt this time, is the one and only, the mindless one himself, DJ.
Take it off. Take
Take it. Yeah, Winnie
No,
the
no, no,
Pooh.
no,
Winnie
no.
Tell 'em the
the Pooh it.
stipulations. Tell them,
Pooh.
tell the audience what that's all about. What the gimmick is.
Dave, you want the honors or me?
Well, yeah, DJ says he's only gonna go shirtless for Game Gone Wrong from here on out,
So,
so,
That's
ladies,
right.
ladies and certain gentlemen, nothing wrong with that.
Hey, we don't
There's the
discriminate
reason to
against
tune
that.
into Game Gone Wrong.
Absolutely. Yep, game gone wrong. From now on, moving forward, unless there's a reason not to, I will be shirtless on the Game Gone Wrong podcast live. But you got to keep it the gimmick. This is the Big Five, attitude of aggression. Not doing that here. We're here to talk some wrestling.
We are here to talk some wrestling, and as we typically do at the beginning of the Big Five project, and we haven't done this for a while, let's talk a little bit about the current product. And I think nothing's really bigger right now going on than WrestleMania 42 and the build to WrestleMania 42. And as we're moving towards Vegas, we're about a month out from WrestleMania right now. So stuff's got to start coming into place pretty damn quickly. So let's kind of just talk about the card and what we know for sure is happening so far. And I think a big event that happened this week, and this is something we were all hoping that this was going to happen. This was like one of the two matches for the Beast Incarnate that we were all hoping for. And I think we got the better of the two for now, because Obafemi stepped up this week, hit Brock Lesnar with Fall from Grace, accepted his open challenge, and we got Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 42. That, they better reinforce the ring for that one. Tony, what do you think of this match? I mean, is this Oba's night to break through, or does he do like so many others have done against Brock, put up a really good effort? Brock puts him over a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's F5 and you're done. It's a tough one because I'm not sure where they go with this.
What do you know, the writing on the wall says SummerSlam this summer, Minnesota, Gunther retires Brock. But do you have Brock continue to win until then, right? And then how do you make Oba look good in doing so? So I'm interested to see what they do that way. Now, as far as what happened on Raw on Monday night, when WWE decided to move over to Netflix and everybody's like, oh, they can do whatever they want. Like, you guys are going to swear and have blood all the time, right? And Hunter's like, when it makes sense. And boy, oh boy, did it have an impact and make sense when Michael Cole used the words, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was excellent use of what you can do on Netflix and not oversaturating it and making it mean something, because that meant a lot to that segment. Either way, like Dan and I talked about this, I could still win and Oba could just be kicking his ass and lose by some hook or crook kind of thing and come out looking like $1 million. So we'll see if the rumors are true that Brock needs to stay clean until he gets to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of Gunther retiring Brock seems, I don't know how you retire a guy like Brock. I mean, maybe beat him. I guess, yeah, he's not, I don't think Brock's going to be tapping out to Gunther. I don't think that's going to work for him, brother. But, we'll see about that. But like you're saying, I think what they did on Monday night was an effective use of what they have at their, what they have available to them. And you don't have to overdo it. Like, you don't have to put a syringe through somebody's cheek, like we saw with AEW this past week with MJF and Hangman. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? You don't have to do that to have the big effect. And I think you got to see it this Monday night with Raw. DJ, what do you think? Obafemi, Brock Lesnar, how are you feeling about this match? Where are we going with this thing? I kind of think Tunney might be onto something here.
I am going to kind of repeat what I talked about on the Mindless Wrestling podcast this week. Nobody in pro wrestling, period, does moments better than WWE. And we're still in the early stages of Obafemi's career. In 10, 15, 20 years from now, I'm planting my flag. We may look at what happened Monday night the same way that we look at Shawn putting Marty through the barbershop window. Rob equated this to Hogan and the Warrior facing off in the Royal Rumble. Like, this is a career-defining moment, and everything went to perfection. I watched the move. I watched the fall from grace. That could have, because Brock's a big dude. And in the initial lift, Brock gave him a little bit of help, but Oba muscled him, held him. That could have gone wrong in so many different ways. And had Oba had a slip of footing, or somebody just been a little bit slippery and he dropped Brock, we're having an entirely different discussion about this moment. All the pieces lined up. Everything was perfection. Michael Cole hitting the exclamation point with the holy shit, and everybody involved in the segment knew it. They were sitting on a gold mine after that, and they knew it. I'm very excited for it. As far as the match itself, God, I don't want to see Oba lose his first big outing, especially at WrestleMania, but at the same time, I think he can do it in a way like Tony was saying, or one of you was just saying a minute ago, Oba's just wearing Brock out, man. 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of just wearing Brock out. Brock has a couple of false comebacks. It looks like Oba's got him on the ropes. He's going to beat him. Brock somehow or another manages like a low blow, locks in the Kimura, and Oba passes out. Doesn't tap out, passes out.
Yeah, I'm going with Brock right now. I think, like you're saying, Oba really takes him into the deep waters, that sort of thing. But at the end, Brock will pull something out. Maybe he cheats, hits an F5 or two, gets the win. It's not going to hurt. Oba Femi's, your first WrestleMania match is against Brock Lesnar. That's not going to hurt him at all. I mean, Brock's not going to beat him in 4 seconds. So that's not happening. So I think it's going to make Oba look good. And yeah, I mean, if we are moving towards a Gunther retiring Brock Lesnar, somewhere down the line, Oba Femi and Gunther are going to go at each other. And that's going to be a big money match.
I think Oba Femi wins his first World Heavyweight Championship off of Gunther.
That may be true. That may be very true. I mean, it's not like Gunther won't put other guys over. We've seen that before.
Do you guys think that distantly Lex Luger and Gunther are related?
On what planet did that come from?
Because they're both in this vacuum called charisma, that sort of thing.
That's where he's going with this charisma vacuum.
I
don't see Gunther as a charisma vacuum. I look at Gunther way differently than Tunney does. Tunney's not a fan.
Tunney falls asleep whenever Gunther's
He's getting
on.
better.
Yeah, he is getting better, slowly but surely. We do have
Listen, I shit all over Rhea when she came up to the main roster right away. Deservedly so.
Well, that first 6 months was rough.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
She's grown into that role. Speaking of growing into roles, we got the WWE Women's World Championship match, Stephanie McMahon versus Liv Morgan. Liv deciding after winning the Rumble that she was going to choose Steph, and there you go. The build to this it's been better since Liv made her decision, I think. That sort of thing. As far as the match at WrestleMania is concerned, DJ, what are your thoughts on Stephanie McMahon and Liv Morgan going into this big battle at WrestleMania 42?
I think it's going to be a good match. This is one of those ones that I can't exactly pick a winner on. This may actually end up being my, what I call a fuck finish or a no finish type of match, because they're obviously invested in Stephanie McMahon, but Liv Morgan is a main eventer. She's a solidified, bona fide drawing power main event star. And this is WrestleMania. Could I see Liv winning? Yeah. But I'm kind of on the fence as to where that's going to go right now. We're still a little early out.
Tony, what do you think, man? Steph, Liv, this one could go either way at this point.
I haven't really bought into this one yet. I like the other one we're going to talk about next, but these two aren't I think both are super talented. I think it's early for Vaquer to be in this position, to be honest with you. But at the same time, let's just call a spade a spade. It's a women's championship match. They're not the last match of the night. It's going to be a good match. I just don't think that Stephanie Vaquer is going to be as huge a superstar as everybody thinks that they've pushed her for right away.
Yeah, I could see that. I kind of have Steph going over in this one. I mean, like DJ says, Liv is a main event star. There is no one hotter in many ways than Liv Morgan at this point. So, but at the same time, yeah, Tony, I think like your sentiment that you don't think Stephanie's going to be as big a star as a lot of people are making her out to be, that may be true, but I think WWE is still going to push her like she's going to accomplish that.
I think she's going to be bigger internationally. Like she doesn't have a personality really on the microphone or a presence like outside of wrestling right now, right? She looks great when she comes in. She's got the whole gimmick with that, but there's no depth to it yet. Let me see that.
Right. And the language barrier, I mean, we've seen people like Asuka have gotten around that effectively enough, and Stephanie can do that as well. But it does kind of hold back a little bit, I would say, at this point in time. But I mean, it's one Stephanie and Liv could go. That's one that really can go either way at this point. I'm not sure. We'll see how that whole thing comes to pass. Should be a good match. I'm looking forward to that. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton changed radically about a week ago, where we went from this legacy showdown to Randy Orton going full heel, beating the holy fuck out of Cody Rhodes. Like you guys were saying, bloodying him up, that sort of thing, where WWE uses blood every once in a while. And when they do, it's for maximum effectiveness. And it's always Cody Rhodes bleeding. I've noticed that lately. It's always Cody. That's going to be like traditional. If you're on the road to WrestleMania, Cody's going to bleed and get his ass kicked by somebody on the way there. Randy Orton looks like he's as dangerous as ever. Who the hell was he talking to on the phone the other night, though? That's an interesting question as to who he's talking to. Ted DiBiase Jr. just got acquitted of all these charges.
Yeah. Not
so
guilty.
He's available.
The timing on that is dubious.
Isn't it, though?
Bringing him back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think,
He wasn't a
but
star
I mean,
before he got in trouble.
but where Randy's saying wrestling does have more than one royal family, what does
Please
that
don't.
mean?
He's gonna bring his dad back.
I don't, how old is Bob Orton Sr.
That's my
right now?
thing. Like, what are you gonna do? Put a cast on each arm this time? Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. Who could it? Yeah, I don't know.
It's a great mystery, and they've actually had me hooked. What are they going to do here? I mean, I heard it suggested that they may actually bring up, and I don't know why this would tie into more than one royal family, but they may bring Ricky Saints and Ethan Page up from NXT to kind of align with Randy in a evolution-esque type.
Or new legacy?
Is new legacy thing.
Is Dustin still under contract?
Yes, and he's apparently very happy in AEW.
Now,
well, he'd also be very happy being a part of a Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes Road to WrestleMania feud as well. But I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to think of people, right? Like it's got to be family. It's his dad, and it's weird because he's old. Like, I mean, who else could it be? There's no one else we know. Does he have cousins or brothers?
I mean, unless he's going to bring up some of these legacy kids that are now doing the legacy kid gimmick down in NXT, Pillman's kid, Regal's kid.
Well,
who else? Finley's kid.
Right. The other thing is, I think let's broaden our understanding or our concept of the definition of family as well. And once you broaden what family really means to these guys, may not mean blood family, but something else. And if you're going in that direction, then who does Cody have history with that Randy has history with as well, that this could be impactful for them to turn up? I saw somebody put something out there like John fucking Cena showing up as Randy's like managerial person. I don't think so. It's too soon for that. Get the fuck
out of here.
Yeah,
no way.
I think it's too soon for that.
Ain't no way that's happening.
John's never going to be involved in another storyline. He'll come back to be John Cena. That's it. He's not.
Inducted in the Hall of Fame. What about Jericho? I mean, I don't know where Jericho's contract status is.
They added a year to his contract for injury. So he's not available till next Rumble.
He's locked in. He's locked out for a while.
Yeah.
It's not Ric Flair. It's not Triple H.
God,
could it be
no,
Triple
not Ric Flair.
Triple H? It could be Triple H and a managerial
Making
role.
him an on-screen authority person, not unlike a Mr. McMahon, would probably be a good move right about now. Creatively, I think it would be a very good move.
Like, you think about it, right? Like, the people that he was with, there's Evolution. No, Triple H is the only one, right? Then
Batista?
It's not.
I mean,
yeah, he's not coming back for any of that.
Yeah.
No, like, and then we talked about DiBiase Jr. No, they're not bringing him back. That's another thing. But after that, where's the connection?
There's no other connective tissue.
It's got to be Triple H.
I guess we'll find out.
Be interesting. Triple H showing up, but the match itself, I mean, I'm kind of thinking right now, I'll go first on this one. I'm thinking Randy gets 15 here at WrestleMania. I'm thinking Randy leaves Vegas with the championship.
Do you remember what happened?
Whoever is in his corner is going to make that difference for him.
Do you remember what happened?
As long as you watch it be Travis Scott, man. That would just be
okay. All right. You know what? We can't. If we could kick you off your own show right now, we would do it.
Why you wish that on us, Dave?
That's what I do. What do you guys think about the match? Is Randy winning or is Cody retaining this time?
I think the same thing that happened at WrestleMania 13 between Bret Hart and Steve Austin happens. I think they did all of this so that they can turn Cody heel at WrestleMania.
Really?
You don't see it coming now because like, yeah, that makes sense. Randy's a killer, blah, blah, blah. They can have it all. People will be cheering for Randy Orton. I promise you. Mark my words. Cody Rhodes will be getting the shit booed out of him at WrestleMania.
Would be kind of cool to see that happen. Where's Ken Shamrock nowadays? Is he available to be special referee?
I don't think he's doing much else.
Deej, what do you think, man? Is Randy does he get 15 here or does Cody retain?
Okay, I think Cody retains, but I don't think this ends that feud. I think this stretches on to SummerSlam with the blow off match being at SummerSlam. So in some type of gimmick match. And in between those two, Randy's going to win 15.
Could see that happening.
Because you don't turn Randy heel for just one match with Cody Rhodes. We don't do everything that they did last Friday night and do one match and then Randy moves on to something else. And if they do, that's stupid.
And Randy's much better as a heel anyway than he
is much more effective as a heel. I have enjoyed babyface, aw shucks, bro Randy Orton. It's been fun. But Randy is most effective as a heel.
Yeah, Absolutely. Let's get to the WWE Women's Championship match because I know Tony wanted to talk about this. Jade Cargill taking on Rhea Ripley. This to me is like the Brock versus Oba women's match because, like, well, if you needed to reinforce the ring for a women's match, this would be the one to do it on because these are two girls in phenomenal shape and there's some real issues there between these two, or at least that's what the sheets want you to think. Now, whether that's true or not is another story entirely. But, Tony, I want to go to you first on this one. It sounds like you were looking forward to this one more than Stephanie McMahon versus Liv Morgan. And why is that? And after what is this, let me ask you this, is Jade ready for this moment? Because it's a big moment for her, and she needs to be ready because you are in there with the most over female wrestler in the world. And Jade needs to step up and deliver. Can she do that?
It doesn't really matter if she's ready. She's going to be there and she's going to lose and she's going to lose. Right? Like, hopefully she grows from this experience because not only do the dirt sheets have you believing that these two have some problems, but they'll have you believe that when Jade took a little bit of time off there, they sent her away because everybody in the back did not like her. She'd been rubbing everybody the wrong way. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but this is Rhea's time now to get that title back and probably carry it all the way to next WrestleMania, figure out a feud there. Maybe we go back to the Liv Morgan thing. Who knows? You got people coming up from NXT as well, but we'll see what happens. I think Rhea is going to make sure that this is a really good match. I don't expect this to be a long match. This is going to be a powerhouse match.
Deej, what do you think, man? Is it a foregone conclusion Rhea wins this thing, or do you see a way for Jade to come through on this one?
I guess it really depends on how management sees Jade Cargill at this point. If they're still invested in her as a larger, more mainstream marketable property, I see a scenario where Jade Cargill could retain. Part of me wants that to happen. But again, we're talking about not only the most over female star in all of wrestling, she may be top 3 in the world, men and women.
She's at the point where Charlotte was at her peak. She's at that spot now where you go, you know what? There's only 1 or 2 guys that I would pick to start an organization over this woman.
Right. She's top 3 in the world, as far as popularity and stuff like that goes. I think the match will be good. I expect it to be short and sweet, anywhere between 7 and 10 minutes tops. This one's not going Broadway. Rhea will probably win. If she does, I hope they haven't completely thrown the baby out with the bathwater with Jade, because I like Jade and I'm still rooting for her. I don't know how much I believe of the supposed issues that they have backstage. Here's part of the reason that this match is even taking place is because Bianca's still injured. Bianca has been out for a year. The original plan was supposed to be Bianca versus Jade. So when that fell apart, what was the backup plan? Well, we've still got Naomi. Nope, Naomi's pregnant. We don't got Naomi anymore. So now we got to go to the backup, which is Rhea Ripley. So there was no way. A lot of people complaining, oh, you could have gone this one, you could have gone that one. It was literally in that order. It was Bianca Belair, Naomi, Rhea Ripley. That was your pecking order for who was going to get Jade Cargill if whatever fell through. And 2 things fell through. So I think the match will be great. I think Rhea if there are differences, they'll put them aside because I think they're both professionals in that sense. So, but yeah, I'd say Rhea's probably going to win it. But if I had to pick a personal on this one, even though I love Rhea, I would say Jade.
I think there's one way Jade retains the title here. Because I think Tony's probably right. It looks like it's Rhea's to lose. But you mentioned her, Bianca Belair, who's injured and cannot compete. But she can get involved. And she can cost Rhea the title and give Jade the win while she's recovering. And you further that Jade-Bianca sort of storyline until Bianca's ready to come back and then one or the other turns on the other one and you get that match. So if they wanted to go in that direction, I could see that being, and then you get Bianca involved at WrestleMania 42 in some fashion because they've wanted to. It's just her recovery has been stymied and hampered by who the fuck knows what's going on with her. But I think there's a chance that they would do that. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, how many times do you screw over your most popular, like you're saying, Deej, what are the 3 most popular wrestlers in the world, male or female? How do you screw them over another year? That sort of thing. You look at what happened to her last year with the triple threat match. And, at 40, she retained against Becky. So, okay, had they really screwed her over?
No, if she
Not really.
lost, it wouldn't hurt her at all because she's such a force of nature. The character is such a force of nature. It's almost to the point with her, wins and losses don't really matter as long as she gets one meaningful win every now and then.
And it actually helps her. Her chasing the title is more impactful and meaningful than her holding the title. It's one of
Sometimes.
those situations.
Yeah.
But I think
The money is in the chase.
yeah, having her continue to pursue the title may pay some dividends. So we'll see about that. The last match that we know for sure is happening is going to be the main event of all of WrestleMania. CM Punk versus the Tribal Chief, ones to the sky, Roman Reigns. Deech, I'll go to you first. Will Punk be acknowledging Roman at the end of WrestleMania?
Punk will be acknowledging his Tribal Chief at the end of WrestleMania. There's no way CM Punk walks out of WrestleMania still champ. I'm planting my flag on that one.
Yeah, I tend to agree with DJ on this one. I mean, I love Punk. I think he's had a hell of a run holding
I
it
agree.
down.
I 100% agree with you.
Here's the thing well, let me go to you first, Tuddy. What do you think? I mean, right now I'm with DJ. I think Roman Reigns recaptures the championship, and we're off and running with some more tribal chiefery for a while. But I do have a question for you guys that I was contemplating. But Tuddy, what do you think right now? Is it Punk? Is it Roman? Who's acknowledging who at WrestleMania?
I think you don't go through all of this to have Roman not walk away with the title. I'm interested to see what your next question goes, and I'll wait for my other comment that I want to talk about on the ongoing run up.
My question for you guys is this. What do we do with the Seth Rollins problem? If Seth is healthy and ready to go, could you inject him into this in the triple threat and run it back from here? Because he never lost the championship.
God,
He
no,
never
man.
lost his championship. He would have a legitimate claim to being a part of this match.
They don't do that. He's already feuding with the Vision and everything else. The thing I wanted to bring up was Roman's getting exposed on the microphone. He is
By Punk?
He's bad. He thinks he's good, and he's just giving you this like numbskull reaction to stuff and saying the same generalistic bullshit. Like, it's bad. It's really bad. It's almost as bad as when he used to say Triple H. That kind of shit pissed me off back in the day. But you put Roman in there on the mic with a Cena or a Punk or anybody, there's probably nobody else on those levels, but he gets exposed for not having that. And for me, it's why he'll never be one of the 5 greatest superstars of all time.
No, I think with Roman, less is more. You don't want him talking a lot. I mean,
and he's
like
talking a lot right now. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that first time when they got together where he told Punk all the shit about why he hated him, that was brilliant. Beautiful. Walking away saying, at WrestleMania, you will acknowledge me. Mic drop, leave. Perfect. But like you're saying, when you get into the deep waters of promo skills, Roman doesn't have that, has never had that, is never going to have that. It's one thing when you've got the bloodline behind you acting as mouthpieces, because when you got Sami Zayn there who can talk and can cut a promo,
Heyman,
and you're protected. Fending for yourself? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. DJ, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there, buddy.
Yeah, no. It's nothing. I have really nothing more to add. This past Monday was like odd. It was like this awkward, like, what happened? Like, where's the guy who like went through the pandemic era, finally found his groove, not only in the ring, but, from a promo standpoint, it was very awkward Monday night. I was a little disappointed in Roman's turnout on that.
Well, we'll see. Other than the matches that have happened, what match do you guys most want to see made?
Bayley versus Cole.
42?
Bayley versus Cole. Bayley versus Michael Cole. And, we laugh, and it's a gimmick match and everything. It'd be the first intergender match at WrestleMania. It would be historic, and it'd be so much
Cole's
fun.
Not
what?
Ray,
go work on some AI shit and stop listening to this show, okay? You're bugging me now.
I don't think Cole would do it because he doesn't want to give up his undefeated streak. He's undefeated at WrestleMania.
That's why, though, for Bayley, I mean, that match would be epic. Like, Bayley's up early, Cole cheats and dominates, and then the crowd goes nuts when Bayley wins. I mean, it'd be an excellent, excellent match.
I'd rather have Bayley.
Is there any other match you're looking forward to other than Cole versus Bayley, Tuddy? I mean, somebody's got to have. There's got to be. I mean, you got the secondary champions, obviously we're going to get Becky versus AJ in some sort of gimmick match. I think that's the one that we're all looking forward to. It's not going to, could they break out like Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania? They haven't done that in a few years. And throw Becky and AJ in a Hell in a Cell match and call it good. I mean, I wouldn't be mad about that. What do you think, Deej?
I wouldn't be mad about that either. If I had to pick somebody who currently is not on the card because I think they're due, find something for Chelsea Green.
Yes.
I don't care. Even if it's a rematch for the Women's U.S. Championship, this is me My hashtag, get Chelsea Green on WrestleMania. I'll work on that. I'll workshop it and come up with something better. But I need Chelsea Green at WrestleMania this year. And not just hanging out backstage somewhere. I need her in the ring wrestling.
Danhausen needs to host WrestleMania, by the way.
That's a great move. That's good booking.
I like that is good booking, Tuddy. Well, everybody will get cursed. It'll be a good time.
Welcome to WrestleMania Hausen. I fooled you all last week being Cold Steve Austin. What? Gotcha. Guess I'm the PT Cruiser. You are cursed.
We need to get the cursed truth, Danhausen and truth together. That's I keep saying that. We'll see what happens. We don't normally talk about AEW, but before we transition into the Big Five project, I did want to say, although we disagree on most things about AEW and are not turned on by a lot of it, there's one thing we universally agree upon, and that's Toni Storm and how great Toni Storm is. And we got some bad news this week. Looks like Toni Storm got hurt. She's going to be out for a while. I'm not sure the extent of the injury, but
potentially for the rest of 2026 is what I read earlier.
That's a soul crusher for them.
Wasn't Rousey supposed to face her too?
She was. They had the pay-per-view this weekend, and Ronda Rousey showed up, and the first thing she did was challenge Toni Storm. And now whatever they were going to do with that is now shot right out the window.
Well, she challenged her kind of, sort of. She told her to get her ass to the ring, and Toni Storm went marching down there. And that was, I mean, whether Ronda was actually going to wrestle in AEW, who knows?
Yeah, as far as they say she hasn't signed an official deal, that it was a one-off.
Yeah, I don't know if Ronda's really interested in wrestling in anywhere right now. I think, show it up and make it. This was believed to be a promo for the MMA fight with Gina Carano, and that's all that this really was, maybe. That sort of thing. But that's irrelevant. What really sucks is Toni Storm getting hurt because she has been a revelation for AEW for 2.5 years now. And it really sucks to see her go down that way. So I think all of us here are wishing Toni Storm a very speedy recovery, any hope of getting her back to WWE anytime soon, guys, went out the shitter with that one because that's an extra year added to the contract. So unfortunately. All right. Good stuff. Ray is giving you some bad news.
Was she playing basketball?
Shit, that's right. Chelsea broke her ankle. You're right, because she took the backstage picture with Jordan Grace, who's also got a foot injury. God damn it!
All these people with foot injuries. Thank you, intern Rants back there, keeping us on top of all the great information here.
Why don't you just come on the show, for crying out loud?
I know, really. God,
he's trying to rally some viewers, man. Give him a break.
He is, and he probably hasn't watched SummerSlam '96 since 1996. Were you even born in '96, Ray?
He'll be watching SmackDown in 11 minutes. So
yeah, he'll be telling us all the shit that's going on there. All right, let's get into
spoiling that shit.
Let's get into the Big Five project, and let like I discussed at the outset. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here, and the side quest that isn't going to happen. And that was Bash at the Beach 1996. And really, like Tuddy said, there's not a whole lot about this that, I mean, I'll tell you guys, I reviewed the whole card. I watched the whole thing when I realized we're going to do this back when it was available. The whole card was available on Peacock. I gave the card a 7 out of 10. I thought the card itself was pretty mid. There are a few exceptional matches, but nothing special. It is, of course, the greatest heel turn in history that elevates this to legendary, iconic status as the Monday Night Wars completely ignite. That was what I put down there. I guess let's talk about the final match a little bit, guys. I mean, whether you've watched it recently or not, everybody remembers it. That sort of thing. At the end of Bash at the Beach 96, remember, this happens just a few weeks after the last event we covered, which was King of the Ring 1996, where Stone Cold Steve Austin cuts that iconic Austin 316 and says, "I just whipped your ass. Jake, get your ass in the back and drink some Thunderbird or some whatever the fuck you're doing back there." And that's how the whole Austin 316 era started. Well, then just a couple weeks later, at the end of Bash at the Beach 96, you get the Hostile Takeover match, which was the Outsiders versus Sting, Lex Luger, and Randy Savage. And it's, of course, the match that changes everything. And it starts with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash deciding to go 2 versus 3, despite them assuring Mean Gene Okerlund that the third man was actually in the arena and he's ready to go. But you don't see him until the end. And the match itself is actually pretty good. This is one of the better matches on the card. Lex gets knocked out earlier. Your favorite, Tuddy, Lex Luger, the Charisma Vacuum. He gets knocked out early on when Sting hits Lex in Nash with the stinger splash into the corner. Lex hits his head on the ring post. He's out for like the rest of the match. This is one of the worst bumps you've ever seen because he's done for the rest of the match. The Outsiders, they control a lot of the match midway through there. Sting is eventually going to tag in Macho Man Randy Savage. Then you get this quintessential Macho Man comeback from there until Nash is going to nutshot Randy Savage with the referee distracted. So Savage is down in the match. He's been low blowed by Nash. The ref is distracted. This, of course, then leads to one of the most iconic moments in professional wrestling history with Hulk Hogan coming down to the ring, Bobby Heenan
going into business for himself.
Yeah, saying, is he the third man? And Dusty Rhodes like, what the fuck are you talking about? Before he ever gets to the ring, Hogan comes into the ring, drops the leg on Randy Savage, drops the leg on a couple more times. This match is technically still going on because there's never an official 3 count. It's Scott Hall making the 3 count. And I think what is Tony Schiavone says, we're not even going to count that bullshit. So technically this match has been going on longer than Curtis Axel has been in the Royal Rumble. I'm just going to throw that out there for you guys. But of course you get the Hulk Hogan promo at the end of this whole thing, the fans showering the ring with debris, with trash. Mean Gene Okerlund just appalled at Hulk. And you go from the Monday Night Wars just kind of smoldering, like you were waiting for that spark that was going to fully ignite this thing. This is the equivalent of like the U.S. bombing Iran sort of situation. And I don't mean to make light of the situation in the Middle East. I'm not trying to do that. But you guys get what I'm saying. This is the big moment that really turns this from just this smoldering ember into a full-fledged fucking inferno. And the Monday Night Wars are off and running. And for the next considerable time, it's WCW kicking the shit out of WWE. But Tony, let me go to you first on this one. Your thoughts about this is, and I mean, people were debating whether Hogan's heel turn or Cena's heel turn was the greatest of all time. After watching this back, there should really be no debate in anybody's mind as to what is the greatest heel turn in professional wrestling history. It's this one. And it redefined everything about professional wrestling at this point in 1996. Am I wrong?
Oh, you can call this the new world order of wrestling, brother.
Yeah.
It was epic. I mean, it was amazing. It's such a fun thing to delve into, like, you know, who was the backup, was he in? We don't know. It's all, you know, hearsay. They obviously made the right call. Had they already taken over the ratings war? Are we already inside of 83 weeks?
I don't think we're inside 83 weeks yet. I think this is when 83 weeks. Well, I'll look it up. Keep going, man. Let me do some checking.
Yeah, you'll have to look at the exact dates when that started.
When did that exactly start?
Other thing that is really interesting here, and DJ, you can just run with it, is the pin that Hogan really almost teabags Macho there. There's still some bad blood going on. And even I remember, like, it was Hall or Nash in an interview being like, oh, wow, that was a little aggressive. Must be some stuff still behind the scenes there. So, yeah, that was an interesting part of it as well. But man, this is gigantic. It's one of the biggest things that ever happened in professional wrestling. The start of the NWO.
It fundamentally
jump on in there, man.
It fundamentally changed the industry. Like it really did. And I remember the emotion at the time because we can talk and we can joke about Bobby Heenan very nearly fucking the whole thing up. Like I said, going into business for himself, pretty much giving it away in that moment because I didn't catch that day of. I got talked into order because I was checked out on WCW. I thought up until that point, I thought the Hogan era sucked. So I was fairly well checked out on everything that I used to love about WCW had been run into the ground by Hulk Hogan. So I was checked out. I was strictly WWE, even though WWE was largely delivering garbage as well up until this point. My friends got together because at this point, I'm with my group of friends that I'm still friends with today, and we were ordering the monthly WWF at the time pay-per-views, and sporadically if a WCW one caught our interest, this one, because Hall and Nash were in it, caught our interest because we were big Kevin Nash or big Diesel and Razor Ramon fans. I was like, okay, let's see what they're going to do with these guys. So we ordered it. So I remember we're watching, the show is fine. The main event was fire. Like it was awesome. It really was. We're getting into it, we're watching it. And then Luger takes the bump. The thing happens with Macho, and then Hogan comes out. And because I'm at this point, I'm still watching as a fan. I haven't gotten into the business yet. I'm still a fan. I'm one of those fans. I watch what I see on my TV. My first thought was, oh, this fucking asshole. You know, I was like, great. It's Hogan coming out. he's going to save the day. And what is this shit? And then he dropped the leg, and collectively the whole room was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And I love that because because back then I was what I thought a smart fan was. You know, like I said, I hadn't been in the business at this point, but I thought I was smart enough to the business to know what was about to happen. And they were still able to get me. And I love it when wrestling gets me, even now. Like I got, like we talked earlier about the Obafemi thing. For 5 minutes, I was a 14-year-old kid who didn't know shit about this business. I wasn't a podcaster. I wasn't somebody who's done this. I was just a fan. And in that moment with the Hogan thing, I was a fan, and it was just, wow. Yeah, that's all I can say about it.
Yeah, that's when wrestling is at its best, when it can still surprise, especially for people like us, when it can still surprise us as many years as collectively, good fuck, how many years collectively have the three of us been watching wrestling? It's got to
Over a
be
century, I would
50?
say.
Don't know about that, but
Bro,
I
I've
mean,
been watching for over 40 years.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
30.
well,
I got
yeah.
I got
By
39
myself,
in.
I've been watching since the
I got
Yeah,
39
you're right.
in.
You're
So me and
right,
DJ
you're
are
right.
already at 79.
And then I got 40 on my own.
Dave's got about
I mean,
106.
fuck.
He was watching.
Yeah,
He's
when I was watching it when I was in the embryo. I was before mitosis had taken place. I was
He
checking
wasn't
out.
a Leutner then. He was a Zygote.
No, David just passed the bar when Nature Boy Buddy Rogers won his first championship.
Yeah, there you go.
Past the bar, he hadn't passed the fallopian tubes, pal.
Yeah. So the 83 weeks actually begins on June 17th, 1996, which is a week before King of the Ring 1996. So they were already beating their ass before Austin 316 had taken place. This is only going to make it worse. And WWE starts taking it on the chin quite a bit for the next 83 weeks, at this point in time. So it's going to be a while before things get good again. But yeah, I mean, the end of Bash at the Beach in 1996 redefines everything. A heel turn that you just didn't think was possible, which was Hulk Hogan turning heel at this point in time. But boy, man, it just changed. It just changed the dynamics of everything, and it made WCW. It really hid the fact that, hey, this roster's pretty fucking old. I'm just going to say that this roster's pretty long in the tooth, but no one cared at that point in time because it was so great what they were doing, bringing in all these elements and then just taking apart systematically the pillars of WCW, like Luger, like Sting, like Macho Man, that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's kind of a good backdrop for SummerSlam 96 because WWE is back on their heels at this point in time. They are backed in a corner. They're taking some significant body shots. They're like in Rocky and Rocky 2, just covering up in the corner, getting the shit kicked out of him by Apollo Creed for a while. So yeah, I mean, when you watch this thing and you think about everything that's going on. So as we left King of the Ring 96, Stone Cold Steve Austin was the King of the Ring. Shawn Michaels was still the WWF Champion. We start to move towards SummerSlam 1996, which took place August 18th, 1996 at the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. On the commentary, you got Vince McMahon is still on commentary, Tunney. Sorry. You haven't got rid of him yet.
Yeah, I know. I watched the last two matches like an hour before we came on here.
Okay, so Tunney knows. You've got Jim Ross. Mr. Perfect's on commentary, so we got Mr. Perfect back. Tunney, there's what is the dark match? Isn't there a match on the pre-show that's actually noteworthy on this event?
Stone Cold Steve Austin beat Yokozuna in 1 minute and 52 seconds. That was on the free-for-all.
What the fuck? Stone Cold Steve Austin beats Yokozuna in 1 minute 52. That's
talk about a fall from grace for Yokozuna.
On the free-for-all, that makes sense, though, right? Like, they're giving this away. They want people to buy SummerSlam. They put one of their hottest new guys beating an older, waning veteran. It gives Steve a little credibility. It makes you want to tune in. I don't know.
There was a match that leading up to this had been advertised on some of the newspapers and stuff like that. It doesn't happen because it's the Ultimate Warrior just ruins everything, that sort of thing. But one of the matches that was advertised for this before it fell apart, check this out. Ultimate Warrior versus the British Bulldog. I would have liked to have seen that match. that wouldn't have been a bad match to get. Warrior versus Bulldog, but it never happens. And I think the other match that they were going to do was Ahmed Johnson was going to defend the Intercontinental Championship against Owen Hart. But we're going to run into problems with that because Ahmed Johnson sustains a very serious, legit injury that was played up quite a bit during the broadcast. But the thing was, nah, it really did happen. It was Farouk Ron Simmons, when he kicked him in the kidney, lacerated his kidney. So he must have kicked him too hard. I don't think that was intentional, although Ahmed certainly didn't make any friends for himself in the back. But I think Warrior versus Bulldog could have been a fun match. Two powerhouses like that. Davey Boy knew what to do in the ring at this point in time. He cleaned up a little bit. But of course, this is the guy who put on a 5-star classic with Bret Hart high as fuck in Wembley Stadium all those years ago. So I think Bulldog could have probably even gotten a decent enough match out of Warrior. But Deej, what do you think about that? Matches that could have happened at SummerSlam 96 that didn't. Those two would have been good.
I think that would have been a great match. There was a match, I think it was either an episode of Raw or something. It was the Warrior's actual last match in WWE before he left for good this time. And he had a match with Owen Hart. And it was actually really good. It was a really good match. And the Warrior looked good. Owen carried him through everything he needed to. And I think Davey, being every good as Owen ever was, could have, as long as the Warrior respected him and listened to him and paid attention in the ring, Davey Boy could have carried the Ultimate Warrior to a fantastic match.
He would have, yeah. Tony, what do you think? Would you have been down with a Warrior? I mean, Warrior is always one of your favorites, but what do you think about him going against Bulldog? That would have been
maybe, probably not. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, the Warrior's horrible at this point. He's losing his shit. He barely has good matches with Rick Rude and Macho Man Randy Savage. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't think so. I mean, Bulldog to me is really good, but in a tag team match, they could maybe be carrying some team like him with somebody else, but just him, I don't know. I don't buy that. We did get a decent match though with him and Sid.
With who? Bulldog and
Davey.
Sid? Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, they pivoted pretty well, and they got it back on track. But let's talk a little bit about this Ahmed Johnson situation a little bit more, because I'm just reading more about this. Farouk's run-in when he made his debut, he kicked Ahmed harshly in the lower back. Ahmed said it later he felt like he'd been shot. It was Vader who actually noticed Ahmed Johnson having some trouble breathing, and he wound up in intensive care requiring emergency surgery on his kidney on August 6th, just 12 days before this happened. And I mean, I remember last time, I think it was the last episode of the Big Five Project, where we talked about Ahmed Johnson becomes the very first Black Intercontinental Champion. And then this happens. And I can't imagine that Ron Simmons intended on hurting Ahmed Johnson. It's just one of those things that happens. But, it's just one of those situations where Ahmed Johnson is one of those guys who have always kind of been like, what if? What if he had been able to get along with the locker room a little bit better? What if he'd made some more allies as he went along instead of alienating so many people? What if he doesn't get hurt here and he actually gets to defend his title at SummerSlam instead of it ending up getting vacated like it does? I mean, lots of what ifs on this whole thing. None of it really matters because Ahmed is out and we move forward from there. But, at this stage, Deej, I'll go to you first, man. Your thoughts on Ahmed Johnson at this stage of what's going on? I mean, is it unrealized potential with him, or is he like another one of these self-destruction stories?
I think he's another self-destruction story. I've just heard way too much. I mean, there were people that liked him. I follow some people who worked with the guy prior to WWE who put him over very highly. They were friends of his, enjoyed him very much, but it's very obvious that it reached a point with him where he just was not very well loved backstage. I don't think Simmons intentionally injured the guy. I've never heard a thing to suggest that Ron Simmons, while yes, definitely very snug, very stiff in the ring, he's a power wrestler, he's a big dude, but intentionally out there hurting people or injury prone, Ron Simmons, no. Ahmed very much was injury prone. I remember, again, it was another episode of either Raw or something like that. Ahmed had just come back from an injury. It was his first match. He was wrestling the Nation of Domination, and it was right when WWE had switched over to those collapsible tables. He reached over, grabbed part of the table, and laid his hand wide open, like to the point where he was out again for a couple more months because he ended up with, I think, like a staph infection. He had to have the hand stitched up. It was in a glove. It was a mess. And that was just the story of his WWE career. It was like just one injury after another. His attitude probably didn't help. And you could argue, oh, it wasn't his attitude. He didn't do any better in WCW. He went to WCW and literally hit a lower ceiling there than he did in WWE. So at some point, You got to look at the guy and say, okay, maybe you are the problem.
Yeah, maybe it's you, that sort of thing. Tony, your thoughts on Ahmed Johnson at this point? I think DJ's right. I think Ahmed's more of a self-destruction situation than just injury prone and bad timing. I mean, not that that didn't contribute to the whole problem, but I think it's more on Ahmed than anything else.
That guy was so intense.
He was.
Was one of his biggest things that it came across. It came through the screen, right? Like
Well,
if
he
you
had
were
a presence.
yeah, if he was in a situation where he was more of a face, you really wanted him to win. You really wanted him to kick somebody's ass. And if he's a bad guy, you were really scared of him. But other than that, you guys hit everything else on the head. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main stuff. I mean, there's other little minor storylines we can get into, but I think we should just get into the card and start talking about that and get going with this thing, and we'll fill in some dots as we go along. So with all the shuffling around with Ahmed getting hurt, we end up with, after Stone Cold runs roughshod on Yokozuna in a minute 52 seconds, go figure that out. The first match, official match, that was the only dark match, right, Tony? So the first official match ends up being Savio Vega taking on Owen Hart. This was an excellent back and forth battle. Both guys hitting big moves, getting near falls. Clarence Mason comes down to ringside to actually cheer on Owen Hart. But Owen shows that anyway. Doesn't Owen have a cast on his arm during this match?
Does.
I think. Yeah, so Owen's got his arm in a cast, but it's all bullshit. As I think Owen, he removes the cast, is going to waffle Vega in the head with it. And the ref, of course, misses this. How the ref does not see this is actually beyond me. I'm not sure how that all works out. He knocks out Savio Vega, applies the sharpshooter anyway. I love this because Owen's like, he's out. Just pin him. Owen says no. He applies the sharpshooter anyway. The ref has to call the match, and Owen gets the win. But here's the thing. Owen gets a pretty good pop from the crowd for this victory, which I found was kind of interesting. Post-match, Justin Hawk Bradshaw jumps in the ring and attacks Savio Vega. So it's just a bad day at the office for Savio all the way around. First, you get beat. You get clobbered in the head by Owen Hart with a cast, and he fakes the whole thing. Owen doesn't pin you. He puts you in the sharpshooter. You're not even conscious enough to submit. And then you get your ass kicked by Justin Hawk Bradshaw afterwards. Tony, I don't know if it can get much more of a bad day at the office than that. Do you?
I mean, should have stuck with Quang maybe, hey?
That's
No,
right.
I mean, isn't it like, it's classic Owen the hilarity at which he's like, yeah, I'll just throw the sharpshooter on here, it'll be great. But just a solid opening match for the actual pay-per-view.
It really was. It was a really, really good match. I mean, and there's not a ton of really, really good matches on this card, but this was one of the exceptional ones, probably one of the 2 or 3 best matches on the card, I thought. Deej, what'd you think of this one? And Owen Hart getting the win, getting a pop, and just this was quintessential Owen Hart. And that's the second time I've used quintessential in this episode, so I need to stop doing that. But
people wanted a babyface Owen Hart. I think people booed Owen Hart because they were supposed to. I don't think anybody booed Owen Hart because they genuinely didn't like the guy, because he was just, even when he was being a sanctimonious prick, like he does in this match, knocks the guy out, could pin him. Nah, I'm going to put on my finisher because I'm a jerk. He was so charming at it. Like, he really was just charming, even as a heel, and I think people loved that about him. The match was great. It was a great opener, had the crowd hot. Again, Savio is a beloved babyface. He's only been in there a short time as Savio Vega. He had that great run at the Royal Rumble the year before, or not the Royal Rumble, but the King of the Ring the year before. So he's a hot up-and-coming talent, and people are behind that. So the crowd was hot. It was a great opening match. Great work on all around.
Yep, I agree. I think you're right. People wanted to cheer for Owen. Obviously, feuding with Brett at this point in time is going to be the kind of thing that's going to turn some people off from you, that sort of thing. So that was how. What is one of these dogs are over here doing something? I don't even know anymore. It's not.
Who let the dogs out? Who?
Really? Arwen, what are you doing in here, huh? Get your ass downstairs. Go on.
Dogs, Dave Dogs, you are
dogging houses.
You are cursed, Arwen. Yes. The next match is a fatal four-way elimination match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. And this is the first of these type of matches in Big Five history, where we get a multi-man tag team match. I think this is the first time we get a fatal four-way in the history of the Big Five project so far. I can't remember another one up until now. It's usually, we haven't really got to the era of multi-man matches yet, but this is the first time we get this sort of thing. First time in Big Five history.
They haven't had a good enough and deep enough roster to do it yet.
Yeah, and it's debatable whether this roster's...
Yeah, you're right. You're both right.
Yeah, it was very debatable whether this roster is good enough. But let's take a look at the lineup for this thing. The New Rockers versus the Body Donnas versus the Godwins with Hillbilly Jim versus the Smoking Guns with Sunny, who at this point gets more smoking every time you see her. So, it's not a bad time to have Sunny around in this sort of thing. So, Tuddy, you look like you want to say something there.
No, no, go ahead.
Wow, way to stumble your way through that one, buddy.
Well, it's very aggressive what I was going to say.
When you got nothing nice to say nothing at all.
Well, her lips might be smoking too right now as far as the activity she's been probably having.
We're not talking about now. We're talking about 96. She was a smoke show. I mean, that's all you could say about it. So
yeah. I would have to cut my penis off if I had thought that I had slept with her.
You would have taken some sunny days back then. So Skip shows up with a neck brace, as he actually has a legit slight neck fracture. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? So this is a legit injury. He actually has a slight neck fracture. But DJ, going to your point immediately, we didn't have the big enough roster, deep enough roster to do that. They still don't. And it's so bad that we got a guy with a broken fucking neck jumping into this match. This is 96 WWF at its finest, kids. And when I said the stench of 95 is still very lingering in the air. This is one of those examples like, Vince, what the fuck are you doing here? There's also an odd rule in this early fatal four-way type of situation that allows both partners of a team to be tagged in to fight each other. I'm like, what are we doing here, guys? This kind of undercuts the whole notion of a tag team. If you can just tag in somebody can tag in the other partner, they can fight each other. But the Guns find a way around that early on. So they try and mess around with the Smoking Guns, but they find a way around that. Zip is going to get trapped by Marty Jannetty. Billy Gunn is going to capitalize by dropping a fist to the back of his head, and they eliminate the Body Donnas, which is hardly a surprise given Skip's actual condition. They got him the fuck out of there pretty quick.
So the main thing I take away from this is they didn't know how to do this yet. And the funny thing is the rule that you mentioned works if it's not an elimination match. Because if it's just a fatal four-way, me and my partner are both the legal men, and he lets me pin him, we lose, but we also win. In this way,
you retain your titles.
Right. But in this situation, you just eliminate yourselves. So it's stupid.
Yeah. It turns it into a fatal 8-way for all intents and purposes, because it's like if but I mean, thing is, if one member of the team gets eliminated, then the whole team's get eliminated. So you can't do this scenario where I'm going to pin you and eliminate you and we win because we both lose. It's circular and dumb. So, but that being said, it made sense to do it this way to get Skip the hell out of there. We don't have to come up with a new tag team. Skip doesn't actually ever get in the ring. Skip doesn't get in the ring, and that's all you get from that whole thing. So the Body Donnas are gone, mercifully gone quickly on this one. After a lot of attempted double teaming gone wrong between the Guns and the New Rockers, a series of errors is going to end up with Jannetty getting hit with the slop drop, and the New Rockers are eliminated, leaving just the Smoking Guns and the Godwins vying for the championship.
Which we should have just had that match. That would have been a good match.
Really? Who were the New Rockers at this point in time?
It was Marty and
Al Snow. Leaf Garrett
Leif Garrison or something.
And Zip is Tom Pritchard. If people are haven't seen it and want to know, Skip is Chris Candido.
Right. Skip was Chris Candido. So at the end of this whole thing, and I think Tuddy's absolutely right, we should have just gone with the Smoking Guns and the Godwins for the championship, and that would have been much better. So at this point, Henry's going to work the hot tag well, and eventually he's going to tag in Phineas. Phineas is going to hit Billy with the slop drop, But Sunny does her job as the ref is distracted by her trying to avoid Hillbilly Jim, threatening to hit her with slop. At this point, Bart takes advantage by coming off the top rope, and he's going to nail Phineas in the back of the head. He pulls Billy on top to make the pin, and the Smoking Guns retain the gold. And then Sunny treats the fans to a massive picture of herself. That's how this whole thing ends. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing was just so wonky and fucked up. The Guns retaining, I don't have a problem with. Sunny putting a big old picture of herself up on the Titantron. That's fine. That's one thing. But I don't know, man. This match didn't do it for me. Tony, did this match do anything for you? This was kind of shit.
I kind of gave my take in the middle of everything. DJ, go ahead.
I have not much else to say. This match stunk. It stunk across the board. It reeked of 1995.
They didn't know how to do this yet. They had a stupid rule that made no sense. They should have just went with the two biggest things they had, and they could have had it where I would have done this where these two teams would have been feuding, and like the Godwins are trying to get Hillbilly Jim to stop being so smitten with Sunny, and that would have cost them the match instead of the opposite where Hillbilly's trying to get her with the slop. Like it would have been funnier the other way around.
Yeah, Hillbilly Jim doing... Go ahead, Deej, sorry.
No, just because I want to put the guy over. Hank Godwin was a hell of a worker. I didn't appreciate that at the time because he got tied up into the tag team with Phineas, and it was a silly thing and a silly, goofy, make the kids giggle gimmick. Henry Godwin was a hell of a fucking worker. Looking back retroactively at some of his stuff, the guy was a beast in the ring.
Master Blaster.
He
was.
Yeah. I'm with you guys. This match did not do it for me. So many things wrong with this one. And like you're saying, it reeks of 95 in so many ways. And it's just like I think the main thing is it's going to be a few years before they start ironing out this whole Fatal 4-Way. And you could say even now to this day that the Fatal 4-Way tag team match is the way like you could tag in any other team as opposed to just have 4 fucking teams go at it, and not worry about all this machinations of all that sort of shit. So the Guns retain. The fans get to see a picture of Sunny. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Let's move on. We get lots of footage of activities with the WWF stars and people around the Cleveland area, including painting some buildings in downtown Cleveland. That's always a good time.
Brand new Gund Arena where they're coming from.
That's right. The Gund Arena was brand spanking new at this point in time. Jerry Lawler's trying to learn how to throw a spitball? And throwing out the first pitch at an Indians game. Is this before Major League or after it? I don't remember,
Wasn't Phil Necro the spitball pitcher and he was a Cleveland Indian?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Dynamite drop in there, Monty. Those broadcasting lessons are really paying off. But
nobody's listening anyway.
That's right. I mean, I always kind of dig these archival footage of what WWE doing this community outreach sort of thing wherever they were at this point in time. And it's kind of cool. I mean, it's certainly not like it is now where you get to see, it's very involved, Make-A-Wish and all that sort of stuff. And this is just like WWE superstars painting buildings and going to Indians games and that sort of thing, which kind of fun, I guess. But it is. I mean, it's Cleveland. It's Cleveland at the end of the day.
It's what they did to promote back in the day leading up to the events, right? Now they have social media and you go to a T-Mobile store and you get to see the Miz or something like that, for this kind of stuff. So it's the same thing. They went on the radio shows forever and promoted in the area in which they're trying to sell the tickets, right? Let's get them sold out as quick as possible.
You're much more aware of, I think, all the outreach activities that are going on now, obviously, because you've got social media and that sort of, yeah, exactly.
Some of us.
You guys met. What? Yeah, some of us have it.
Sorry,
not all of us.
Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry, Dave. I did.
Rub it in, Tony.
Didn't mean to. One of my good buddies. We were sitting around one night, and one of my good buddies, he slipped and had a rug burn on his elbow, and then the general of DWI lore, he sat next to him and he's like, "Is it okay? Let me take a look at it." And he had salt in his hand and he just rubbed it all over his fucking shit. It was one of the greatest things ever. Oh, we all laughed.
I'm glad you're not that vicious, Tony. Thank you.
My group is rough.
All right, so you guys had mentioned this match earlier. We don't get the British Bulldog versus the Ultimate Warrior, but we do get the British Bulldog versus Sycho Sid. And what's interesting to me about this match right off the bat, the fans are solidly behind Sid. He gets a pretty big pop as this match gets going. As for the match itself, it looks like Davey Boy hasn't won as he hits Sid with the running power slam, but the Bulldog gets distracted by Clarence Mason. That motherfucking Clarence Mason is back out there. And Jim Cornette arriving at ringside. Sid takes advantage of this as he is going to reverse another power slam attempt, hits the power bomb, and Sycho Sid gets a pretty damn big victory at this point, especially when you consider the trajectory of where Sid's going to go in just a few months, stemming from this win over a legit former Intercontinental Champion and one of the better technical wrestlers out there. I thought this was a solid win for Sid. The match is really nothing to write home about. It's not a bad match. It's a good fight. You know, it's a good hoss fight between these two powerhouses. But I thought just from a momentum standpoint, probably much bigger for Sid than anything that Davey Boy could have gotten from this. Each, I'll go to you first. What did you think of this matchup?
I had unashamedly had fun with this match. Sid is about to go on one of my favorite all-time runs. As much as there may be some low spots in this era of WWE, I had a lot of fun with the main event run that Sycho Sid is about to go on. The fans obviously were really into it. I will never accuse Sid of being a great professional wrestler. Sid had everything you need to be a sports entertainer except natural wrestling ability. He had a look, he had an aura, he was the size, everything. He had all the stuff. When he wasn't cutting a live promo,
we're live, pal,
and he stuck to his guns, it was believable into a line with his promos. When they found a way to book him properly, which Vince has finally figured out the formula with Sid, he's awesome. Like, awesome, Sid was. I absolutely enjoy the era that we're about to get into with Sid Vicious.
Yeah, he, once they got over and figured out, like, Austin is, of course, going to become the big anti-hero during this whole run. Sid's probably number 2. Because they never
the prototype for what Austin would be able to do.
Right, because they never formally like flip him babyface. It's just the fans start cheering for him. They wanted that edgier kind of thing, and Sid was just this badass who didn't give 2 fucks about anybody. And the fans, you see that they start to gravitate, and then where we go with the next installment of the Big Five project, when we're going to talk Survivor Series 96, you see where that goes completely as far as, you know, Sycho Sid and the fans sort of rallying around him. Tuddy, what do you think of this match? Sycho Sid defeats the British Bulldog in a pretty decent match.
No, this is a fun one, right? Like we talked about Davey before, and you put Davey in with someone else competent, and you just have a good time. This is like a early edition of meaty men slapping meat, right? Like these guys are big. They're both fan favorites if you think about it. You put them both in their own peak time, and people cheer these guys. They want to cheer for these guys because they're fun to watch. They're fun to look at. They're 2 of the best body guys ever, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You want to talk about one of the best big guy body guys and then one of the overall best body guys. Like these guys are both Hall of Famers.
And we got a comment from our friend Whistling Mike. One thing I remember about Sid was people said he was all natural. I don't know how correct that was either. Tough guy without Sid being all natural. I mean, the thing about Sid is that's tough though, because Sid was so big, 6 foot, 6'8".
So I don't know though. He stayed pretty lean. Like he was big and built up, but like he still was agile. This guy played softball nonstop over his wrestling career, right? This is why Chris Platt calls me the Sid Justice of the chair shot.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think in this era, would we say that Sid was all natural? I kind of doubt it. Was he like to Warrior levels of roid usage? Probably not.
I think what we're trying to say here is it made him look a little bit better, but if he didn't even do it, he would have still been just
like I refuse to believe I refuse to believe he didn't cycle once in a while, but to the level that a lot of the guys were, probably not. And when I was in the business, a lot of the guys that I wrestled with who wrestled with Sid spoke very highly of him. And apparently, like for the job guys, if you made Sid look good in the ring, Sid took care of you.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I mean, Sid had his issues as well and his demons, that sort of thing. But as far as his in-ring work, he was always solid. I mean, don't put him in front of a live mic and you're in good shape. It's just that live stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're doing live without a net.
I have half the brain you do, and I'm half the man you are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Kevin Nash just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened?
What did he say?
You got it, buddy. You're right.
You're
You
right. I'm
betcha.
going to agree with you on
You
that
betcha.
one. And we then go from that to Goldust with Marlena taking on Mark Marrow with Sable. So, we've got, we're talking about the smoke show that was Sunny. We've got some more smoke going on here in this match. It's all over the place. The match was okay. I think like a little bit disappointed by what I thought this match was going to be. It didn't quite check all the boxes and hit what I wanted to in this match, but it's an okay match. This match is complete with Mankind stalking Sable, because that's the thing at this point in time. Mankind stalking Sable. Mark Marrow is going to hit Goldust with the Wild Thing shooting star press. Did you guys know this is the first time Mark Marrow actually breaks this move out? Like, they practiced it, but he'd never tried it like at a house show. He never tried it anywhere else on a live event. The first time he tries, and this is an era, this is 96, so shooting star presses are not exactly commonplace at this point in time. Maybe the cruiserweights and the guys in Japan are breaking these out all the time, but in American pro wrestling, WCW, WWE, you didn't see this that often. So Mark Marrow breaks out this Wild Thing shooting star press for the very first time. And yeah, exactly. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Let me put this one.
Dave,
young Brock Brock was watching this match and didn't learn it well enough.
You know what, Dave, though? The funny thing is it's kind of starting to happen in WCW, because one of the matches that you can watch from Bash at the Beach is Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis. So we're getting into that. So it feels like, maybe Vince was like telling his producers, if guys want to do some more bigger stuff like this, we're going to get the last match, which is full of moonsaults as well. So
for really big dudes, but moonsault, I mean, Deej,
and
you've
dudes
been in the
with
ring.
attitudes.
Deej, you've been in the ring. I can imagine a shooting star press is much harder to execute than a moonsault. Is that a
100%.
fair statement?
100%.
Yeah. So
I mean, I could never do one, so I can't speak on like personal, but I've attempted moonsaults. They're not easy. Like a moonsault I would try and do. The idea of a shooting star press would terrify the shit out of me.
yeah, because you're inverting yourself.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing to do a backflip. It's another thing to do that. I mean,
Right.
even in the swimming pool, I won't try that shit because I'm like, nah, that's all right. But
one's like a backward somersault and the other one's an actual backflip.
yeah, right. Right, and you've got to have some much better control to execute the shooting star press. But after Mark Marrow hits this thing, Marlena is going to distract the ref. Marrow can only get a 2 count off the shooting star press because of this distraction. Goldust takes advantage. He's going to hit Marrow with the curtain call, and it's enough for him to get the victory. Mark Marrow is then going to save Sable from some post-match cringe-worthy stalking from Goldust. So poor Sable can't catch a break on this fucking thing. And he sends Goldust and Marlena scurrying off to the back. So, that sort of stuff is this is where Sable's going to go. Sable is going to become the sex symbol in WWE. Sunny, to much to her chagrin, is not going to be able to match that. But yeah, I almost felt a little bit bad for Sable in this match. She's stalked by this crazy fucker Mankind. Then she's stalked by Goldust and Marlena. And some Mark Marrow saves. I mean, this ends badly for Marrow, but at the same time, the Ahmed Johnson situation we talked about early on is going to pay dividends for Marrow, because there's going to be a tournament for the vacant Intercontinental Championship that Mark Marrow is going to win and become the Intercontinental Champion. So it's not all bad. And you get Sable as well, until, as Mike was saying, a young, virulent Brock Lesnar comes along and ruins all that shit for real.
You guys heard Mark Marrow tell the story about finding
it's
out?
Hilarious.
So here, I'll do it
Go
really
ahead, tell
quick.
it. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah,
tell
for
it.
people listening and you might not have heard this, he's like, and this is really just a quick generalization. He found out, he was super pissed. He didn't know who it was. Then he found out it was Brock Lesnar, and he's like, well, I guess it's just time to move on. Pretty much.
Well, he was like, if I find out who it is, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kick their ass.
And he thought it was Brock. He's like, well, good. I hope they're happy. And they are. Look at, they are. They're still together.
They're still together. So it was obviously true love or something like that. But Mark made a very wise career decision.
I would say, unlike Eddie Guerrero, when he tried to take down Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle just wrapped him up and asked him, why would you do that to me? I'm a gold medalist. To which Eddie Guerrero replied, because I'm stupid.
Yeah. It's one thing to take your boot off in the ring and get a win, but Brock didn't even fuck with Kurt Angle. He tried, and that didn't work out well for him either. So that's.
Yeah, the lore goes that the biggest things that everybody wanted to see was a wrestling match between Angle and Brock, and Angle and Show. And Angle dominated Show And Brock will tell you that, I mean, Angle will tell you that he held his own against Lesnar, and everybody else will say Lesnar's lucky that Angle didn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Brock was a tremendous amateur wrestler and a great MMA fighter. But as far as amateur wrestling, it's a fucking gold medalist.
Well,
and guys, did he win it?
Peak was
He won it.
NCAA champion.
Right. Kurt was an Olympic gold medalist, and he
Oh,
won it
the
with a
greatest
broken
ever.
frickin' neck.
Yeah. And the funniest thing about all of this is Vince McMahon consistently and consecutively tried to take down Kurt Angle throughout his WWE career.
That's hilarious.
On airplanes, in offices, and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, and Brock and Kurt's in-ring rivalry is one of the best things going as we get, later on. And I mean, the Iron Man matches and all that sort of stuff. It was so important for Brock at that point in time. And I know we're years down the line on the Big Five chronology from getting to that, but giving Brock somebody legitimate he could work with at that point was huge for him. And it would pay dividends even later on when he would come back. So, all right. So after this whole affair of things, then we get to probably one of the big highlights of SummerSlam 1996. And we're going to go to, this is the first time they're going to do this whole thing. We get to the Boiler Room Brawl.
Oh, you want to talk about Lawler and Jake Roberts?
Not really.
Did I miss that?
It's okay, though. I shouldn't have done that. I'm like the kid who brought up, hey, you didn't assign us homework.
No, you're right. I did.
Yeah.
I skipped right over that.
Let me just say, here's my comment about this. It's so great that JR and the King are both there together. Now just put them in the right fucking spots.
Yeah, okay. So hold on. I skipped over a lot of stuff. I'm sorry. My bad, guys. Skipped to the next page.
DJ, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I can tell you I hate you right now.
Yeah, I know.
I hate you.
I know. I'm really sorry. I'll give you half my tater tots at lunch, okay?
No, you can do my
when
fucking
you mentioned that to me,
pal.
I'm like, what?
That's
Yeah,
what
we're
I had
live,
DP
and
for in high school.
I fucked that all up. So we get footage of Farouk injuring Ahmed Johnson, causing an injury to his kidney. We talked about this whole thing requiring emergency surgery. Not only does Ahmed Johnson have to vacate the title, but he also has to give up his world title shot that he earned by winning a battle royal. So then they announce an 8-man tournament will crown a new Intercontinental Champion, and they have like a, what do they have? Like a battle royal involving Austin, Sid, Savio Vega, Goldust will take place to determine a new #1 contender for the world championship. So, I guess that's what's going on that thing. We get, here's another pretty important moment. Mark Henry is introduced for the first time, and he joins commentary for the next match. So I guess, we get that whole notion of things. So Mark Henry's coming in. There's another big guy. Obviously, Mark Henry's going to become a very big deal over the later years. So we get to see that. But yeah, we get this Jerry Lawler versus Jake Roberts match, which is god-awful. And what I was going to say is, like, Jake Roberts, he hated this feud with Jerry Lawler because during this whole thing, Jerry Lawler is fucking around with the whole alcoholism aspect of things, right? And Jake's trying to get clean at this point. He's trying to find solace through the Bible. And Austin already gave him a lot of shit in their match about that, You thump your Bible, go get some Mad Dog 2020 and all this sort of stuff. Jerry's going to push this to another level entirely by putting up bottles of whiskey and alcohol.
Can I just say that Mad Dog 2020 has been the ring sponsor currently for WWE on Raw and SmackDown? How hilarious that is. Yes.
Are they? Wow.
Yes, it's in the middle of it's the logo in the middle of the ring on Raw the last few weeks. Mad Dog 20. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's hilarious.
Everything comes full circle, right? But during this feud with Lawler, Jerry's going to taunt Roberts. He calls him a drunk, brandishes booze bottles in front of him to try and rile him up. Jake has said, and I know, Tony, you've interviewed Jake in the past, and I know Jake has said under interviews that he just thought all this shit was unnecessary. Like, he just thought you didn't have to go there with this whole thing, that sort of thing. It was very awkward for them to do that sort of stuff. And it didn't sit well with Jake at all. And I don't blame him for that. I mean, it's it's very insensitive to do that to somebody who's trying to get over this whole alcoholism sort of aspect of things. But yeah, as far as his match goes, what were you saying now, JR? You got JR and Jerry Lawler in the same arena at the same time, just not doing the right thing, right, Tony?
Yeah, about 1,000,000%. Hey? Like this card would have been so much better if you went over to the announce table and the guy who stood in between Mr. Perfect and JR would have just sat his ass in the back and shut the fuck up. Right? Like, Perfect's awesome color. We're getting there. Vince just still has to convince JR to put the hat on. right? That's what happens. Well, he needs two guys with hats at commentary for him to be able to leave, right? And that's what happens. But yeah, Jake is more intellectual than that, right? Like there's a big difference between if he didn't really want Jerry to do this and Jerry's like, well, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want because Vince says I can. There's a big difference between that and when Chris Jericho went after CM Punk and they were making money mutually doing that kind of storyline, right? Remember when Jericho was, talking about his
Because
dad
Punk's
being a
straight
drunk and
edge
everything.
and
Right. So I think there's a big difference between cooperation and just kind of trying to
this was a cheap heat match. It
stick
really
it to
was.
somebody,
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the cheap heat because we're in Cleveland. Remember, we are in Cleveland for this match. Jerry Lawler comes out with a Baltimore fucking Ravens jersey on. Ray Cash would love it. The people in Cleveland, not so much. And on top of that, Jerry Lawler comes out with 2 bottles of Jim Beam for Jake. We've graduated from Mad Dog to Jim Beam.
Jim Beam's nasty.
Harvey
anyway.
Wimpleman.
I'm not
Harvey
a bourbon guy.
Wimpleman. Yeah. Harvey Wimpleman has graduated from being Sid's manager at WrestleMania 8 to a fucking referee. When did we get Harvey Wimpleman as referee? But the match is just absolute nonsense. That's all you can say about it. Jake dominates, sets up Lawler for the DDT, but Lawler's going to grab Harvey Wimpleman and pulls him into Jake to break this up. Lawler then goes outside the ring, grabs a bottle of Jim Beam. He is going to jam the end of the bottle into Jake's throat. And then he falls on Jake and gets the pin. So not only do we get all this bullshit, Lawler gets the pinfall victory over Jake the Snake Roberts. Lawler then humiliates Jake by pouring whiskey into the mouth of a recovering alcoholic. And this nonsense continues until Mark Henry finally gets sick of this shit, intervenes and puts an end to it. This is so bad. It's beyond bad. The whole angle leading into it was horrible. The match itself, like, what the fuck are we thinking here, guys? DJ, I go to you first. This is like beyond 1995 cringy shit for WWF at this point in time. This is just everything that's wrong wrapped into one shit match.
And you just encapsulated everything that I was thinking with that last statement. It really was. It was unnecessary. Neither one of these guys. Lawler was an asshole of a character on TV without the added insensitivity of the angle. Like, you could have just had Jake the Snake versus Jerry Lawler. There would have been enough collective heat because Jake, again, was at one point in his career the second biggest babyface in WWF. So you could have had these two do a match, have enough heat and enough juice behind it for the crowd to enjoy it because the work in the match, just the work, strip everything else away, the work in the match was really good. And those two were capable of having a believable fight. The bullshit wrapped around it, the bullshit finish, and everything that happened afterwards didn't do either one of those guys any service at all, and it almost killed Mark Henry's career on arrival. Like, that's how you introduced the guy, was it to save Jake from a shitty angle, just terrible all the way around. Terrible booking.
Tony, anything you could redeem from this match? Because I don't think you can.
Most popular phrase of the soup Nazi. Next.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much more you could say about this. This is bad and just a kind of a, like we're saying, we're into the better part of things because we're out of 1995 now and we're into 96. But boy, this match here shows you there you've got a long way to go, baby.
He hasn't.
Virginia
Vince hasn't
Slims.
cut the strings just yet.
Oh, Vince is still cocaine's a hell of a drug.
He's about 50 weeks away from changing his business plan.
Exactly.
Like legitimately, like we sit here and talk about like everything that we continue to find wrong, even though the pieces of the roster we need are almost all there now. It's just it takes WCW kicking his ass to realize we got to get rid of the hokey bullshit and go more, real life. And WCW is going to teach him that over the next, like we said, however many weeks until he starts to change. And then eventually that's why 83 is an 84 or 85 or 86.
Well, yeah, right now we're at week 8 of 83. So he has not gotten the message quite yet, but he's about to.
But all the people are there. Almost all the people are there that reverse that.
Yep, absolutely. All right, now coming back to it, let's talk about the Boiler Room Brawl.
Yes.
Undertaker and Mankind. And I mean, Tony, we talked about this, I think it was the last episode, and we did like a short on this, or we did part of the last episode. I turned this into a short, and it got one of the better shorts that I put on YouTube was you and me talking about Undertaker and Mankind and how how Mankind gave Undertaker somebody legit to work with, who wasn't scared of him, who could be a formidable challenge, who gave you something believable to get beyond just the gimmick of The Undertaker, somebody that he could work with to really bring the greatness that The Undertaker would eventually evolve into and start to really bring that out. Mankind was that foil that The Undertaker so desperately needed. And this fucking match here, the Boiler Room Brawl, is another just tremendous example of that. I think the first half of this match is recorded before the event takes place, so they recorded the first half of the Boiler Room Brawl. The stuff actually in the Boiler Room was recorded ahead of time. There's also a moment in this match, like there's a ladder spot we're going to get. Well, let's talk about it and get into this whole thing, because this is, they saved the best two matches for the end, clearly, because the Boiler Room Brawl and Vader and Shawn are the highlights of this whole thing. Go ahead, Tony.
You guys say that this is like the first raw, unintentional cinematic match because we're taped ahead of time. Basically, I think what's live is when Undertaker comes through that hallway to get into the locker room. Everything before that is taped, right?
Yes.
And so how many they could have done other takes and shit like that, but like, man, I just remember this, and I can't wait to get into like the intricacies of it, but man, this was awesome back in the day. I was blown away.
Deej, what do you think? Tony makes a good point. Is this the first cinematic match that we get in WWE?
I watched this again for the first time since I watched it the first time about a week ago, and my initial first thought was exactly that. I was like, this may very well be the first ever cinematic. Like, literally, that was my first thought. I'm like, this was the first ever cinematic match. And yeah, so Tony, you're absolutely hitting a home run there.
I mean, the things that add to it, and we'll get into it, but one of the major things is you never ever seen really anything like the feed goes in and out throughout the Boiler Room part. But I'll stop and let you lead through the match day, because we're finally at a point where we got something new and juicy to dig into right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everything they got wrong with the Fatal 4-Way match because they didn't know what the hell they were doing, they get right here. And I mean, you don't get, I mean, have we had another Boiler Room Brawl since this one? Maybe a couple.
No, I think there's Mick's undefeated in Boiler Room Brawls, so there's more than one. I think there's two. Him and Undertaker do at least two. I think he had one with somebody else, but like, I don't know. I don't really talk about it much, but Mick Foley is my favorite wrestler of all time. I have read all of his books. Like, so like,
nice.
I like know, and he legitimately wrote those. So you get his thoughts on all of this stuff. So yeah, man, let's jump into it, man. I'm so excited. Like, I've been waiting since fucking 1985 when 6 was WrestleMania and dealing with all the rest of this horse
11
shit.
years.
It's fucking
11 years season-wise.
11 years, 11 long years. It's like Tuddy Mania here. 11
dumbass fucking pay-per-views and matches we had to talk about.
Well, it hasn't all been bad. Come on.
You know what I mean?
Other than
I've enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, this is literally an epic brawl in a boiler room. It's a Boiler Room Brawl, but it is a brawl in a boiler room with two legends using basically anything that's not nailed down to beat the holy shit out of each other. And that's the best way you can describe this thing. This is including steam from a boiler vent, a fire extinguisher, ladders, and much, much more. I mean, like, everything is fair game in this thing. Mankind definitely has the edge in the boiler room aspect of this thing, in the cinematic part of this thing. It's definitely Mankind who's got the edge. After he does this whole thing, and there's, I think, a spot in there with the ladder that Mankind does that doesn't go so well. And we all think about, when we think about Mankind taking big bumps and heavy spots, we all think, of course, King of the Ring 98, which is coming up. But there's a spot in here where Mankind could have really possibly ended his career, because he overcompensates landing on something and he lands in a really awkward place. Tony, you look like you want to jump in there.
I've literally watched this and the other match, like, and started doing it an hour and a half before we came on here. So like, I just watched this. So the spot is like one of the first attempts to leave the boiler room, and it's to go up out of the boiler room in a ladder and a hatch above with the Taker down, and Taker comes up and pulls the ladder back. Now Foley's end up going to be short of what he needs to land on, so that's why he turns and lands a different way. If you look at he was probably supposed to kick off of it a little bit and didn't, but he was almost gonna, like, he was really gonna fuck his spine up if he landed on his back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he barely avoids a really nasty sort of situation. Mike, nah, this is before Mr. Sacco.
Mr. Sacco was not in this match.
Yeah, Mr. Sacco's not in the match yet.
This is
when
like,
Mankind was still serious.
Yeah, Mankind is still a serious heel at this point in time, and we're not to the cute and fuzzy Mankind version quite yet.
He's there to accentuate the fact that the Undertaker is so mythical, but you have this guy like Mick Foley or Mankind who enjoys pain. Like he gets better as he gets hurt, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, Mike, if you've got Netflix, go watch this match.
Go watch the match.
After this episode,
yeah, it's the second
go watch
last
this
one on
Boiler
the
Room
card.
Brawl.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking epic. So at this point where they end the cinematic stuff, Mankind definitely has the edge in the Boiler Room. He starts making his way to the arena. So he's the first one making his way to the arena first. What were the win conditions? You had to make it into the arena? Is that how you won this match?
No, you had to get into the ring and attain the urn. Paul Bearer was waiting.
Right, that's right. Once they start getting into the arena, Undertaker then gets the advantage in the arena. And he seems to have the match won when he slingshots Mankind off the ring apron to the ring floor. But this is where you get one of the most shocking turns in WWE history, at least to this point in time, because you don't see this one coming. Paul Bearer shockingly betrays Undertaker as he refuses to give him the urn, which would have given him the victory. He turns his back to Undertaker, and then he cracks him in the head with the urn. Paul Bearer then presents the urn to Mankind to literally hand him the victory. We then see this is when we see this for the first time, the Druids show up for the first time as they come to ringside and they take Undertaker's seemingly lifeless body to the back in a absolutely stunning, shocking development to the situation. So this match has it all, guys. I mean, it's as physical as you want. You get great spots. You get all this drama. And then you get this mind-numbing turn like Paul Bearer, who's been Undertaker's biggest ally since he came onto the scene. You know, and we're in 1996, so what? This is 6 years later that Undertaker's been in WWF at all this time, and Paul Bearer's been by his side the whole time. Paul Bearer was the one who brought him back from the dead at SummerSlam 94, exposed the Underfaker, that sort of thing. And then here, I mean, DJ, I'll go to you first on this. I remember watching this in 96. I didn't see it coming. Did you see this turn coming?
Not a bit. Again, watching, much like we talked about earlier with the Hogan heel turn, watching this strictly as a fan and a guy who doesn't know shit about this shit. It was another one of those, wow, holy crap. And that's the wow, holy crap after the wow, holy crap that was the match.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on a sec. I'm just wondering, you just said, based on what happened with Hogan, do you think Vince did this to go for that, wow, holy crap, I didn't think that was possible
it's
sort of
entirely
moment?
possible. We need a shocking moment. What's more shocking in WWE at this point in 1996 than Paul Bearer turning on The Undertaker?
You think he's that reactionary yet already? I don't think so.
Yes.
I think he is.
I do, because if he wasn't, then you wouldn't have fake Diesel and fake Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a reactionary aspect of things.
I don't think that was reactionary. That was just reactionary to them leaving, him believing that his story was better than anybody could play the characters he wanted.
I think Vince saw the writing on the wall. I think Vince knew something was coming. He was trying to figure out how to combat it, and he hadn't figured out the formula yet.
Well, I think the thing is that Vince, what bugs me about that, and yeah, it's petty, but that's Vince at this point in time, is him like saying, you could be Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, but Razor Ramon and Diesel are WWF characters. I'm keeping them, and I can just slot anybody into their spot. And that was Vince's arrogance.
Well, that's what I was saying. I don't think it's reactionary. I think he's like, I'm just going to do what I'm doing. I don't need you.
Maybe.
Did he react to the Hogan heel turn? I got to think that maybe he saw something in that where he was like, I don't know. I mean, there's an element of that sort of thing where you sit there and you look at that and you think, well, like that was so shocking. What could he come up with to
disagree because of these two guys, right? Like, I think that he wanted to do something more for, like, they specifically came up with this character and brought in Mick Foley to give Undertaker something new. And that's probably why they did the change there with Paul Bearer, because you already said it's been 6 years. Let's do something different here. And it's going to continue to get different because Vader's going to get hurt and they need a guy under the red mask soon.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, Vader's whole situation is going to lead to an interesting development. But Tony, I'll go to you on this. You know, your thoughts about the match in general. I know you're a big fan of it. The heel turn at the end. Well, not even. I guess it is a heel turn, but it's a change of allegiance that shifts the balance of power and kind of. I think this match probably elevates Mick much more than Undertaker at this point, don't you?
It gives the Undertaker something new. It gives something people to think about differently with the Undertaker, because now he's got someone that is on his level of recovering from pain, right? Like, we think about the Undertaker's indestructible. No matter what happens, eventually he's going to sit up. Whether he wins or loses, he's going to sit up, right? You can't get rid of him. Well, who the fuck is this Mankind guy that just is like, yeah, give me more of that fucking awful tasting bullshit? And that's what he does. Like, my favorite thing about early Mankind is that he comes to the ring with one set of music and leaves the ring with another set of music, because he's so deranged. Like, it's like, I'm coming in for manipulation and mutilation, and when I leave, I'm happy that I did it. So you get this kind of weird success song that's very calm and odd. Everything was set up in the Boiler Room perfectly. Every time they tried to do an escape, every time they did a spot, you talked about the ladder, you talked about the steam, you talk about every time they went into something, there was like 3 or 4 big metal bars that would come crashing down and make a huge sound. Like, audibly, it was excellent. I like the fact that they didn't have the announcers announcing that part of it. They were just kind of audibly reacting to big things that happen. Mick Foley and the sounds he makes, whether he's on offense or getting his ass kicked, the squeals, the mommy, whatever, it's brilliant genius. And the fact that Mick Foley is so underrated in what he does and makes happen throughout the Attitude Era. He's such a glue guy. It's amazing. And I know the Undertaker, I think it's his greatest rival ever.
Yeah, like what Mike's saying about the American Badass.
We'll get into that in future episodes.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in future episodes, and how Undertaker's whole kind of persona shifts with the tide, that sort of thing. But Tony, you brought up something, a good point about Undertaker just kind of like not feeling pain, sitting up and doing all that. This match is important because it interjects and introduces a different kind of pain to Undertaker, emotional pain, the betrayal, the pallbearer betraying him, and the emotional upheaval that he has to deal with from this situation, which is going to become we're not done with Undertaker and Mankind by a long shot. You know, I mean, you got this is like just the first trilogy of matches. Then they're going to rekindle this whole thing, and it's going to get even worse, you know, even though the respect between them builds and that sort of thing. But, yeah, the Boiler Room Brawl is an excellent match. It's a unique event. I think you hit on it really well, Tony. The whole cinematic aspect of this that really makes it a unique sort of situation. And yeah, phenomenal match. So let's get to the main event of SummerSlam 1996. It is Vader with Jim Cornette taking on the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario for the WWF Championship. Dude, this is a fucking wild match. I mean, this thing's got craziness going on. There's parts of this match, like, there's a spot in the match where Shawn is supposed to hit Vader with an elbow drop, and Vader fucks this whole thing up. And you actually see, like, Shawn, like, really hit Vader and curse him out and all this sort of stuff in the middle of the match. And Vader will admit later on that, yeah, it was my fault. I fucked up and I deserve Shawn to get on me. All I'll say is, Shawn, you're damn lucky Vader didn't take real offense to what you did, because he would have ripped your head off and shit down your neck. You know, that sort of thing. Because Vader was that kind of guy. You know, wasn't he the guy who...
Don't you think, though, that Shawn was smart enough to know that he had Vader's respect? Like, think about Vader coming back and just saying that, right? Like, there's some people that, like, you know, you come across as, like, don't fuck with Vader, one of the baddest ass guys. He's kind of like a fucking, damn it, Meng. I can't think of his WD. Haku. Yeah. And it's like, there's people he had to get along with, though. There's people he had to listen to and respect, and everybody wanted to work with Shawn Michaels in the ring at this point. So, like, I don't know, man. You fuck with Shawn Michaels like that, you're gone. Well, this is a guy who can do whatever he wants and say to Vince. And don't just think that started with the DX shit either, okay?
No. Well, I mean, and Shawn would later on, years later, when he was in a better place, say that was very unprofessional of me and I shouldn't have done that. So Shawn knows, you know, at the time, in the heat of the battle, and Shawn is your WWF champion. And I think he's still living in Bret's shadow, even though he beat Bret at WrestleMania 12. There's still that aura of Bret Hart hanging over his head. He's still trying to, Yeah, this is a good point that Mike's made. Vader is more scared of Vince than Shawn, and Shawn knew
Yes.
he was protected. That's
What I was
exactly
kind
right.
of what I was saying. You fuck with Shawn, you're gone.
That's
And Vince makes
that's
that
exactly
decision,
right.
right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think, Shawn, I think, is still trying to establish himself. And there's credibility to this because you look at what's going to happen in a few months where they pull the belt off Shawn temporarily. And the idea, I think, let's talk about this match and we'll talk about the aftermath and kind of where Vince pivoted a little bit because of this whole thing we're talking about with Vader and Shawn and Shawn probably getting pissed and said, I can't work with this dude. That's not going to work for me, bro. Give me Sid instead. The match is absolutely wild, to be sure. Shawn is going to show a ton of fight in this as Vader really beats the shit out of him for most of the match. Vader is going to win this match several times, right? As this match goes along. He first wins the match by countout when he drops Shawn across the guardrail and outside the ring. And then Cornette's going to get involved with this thing because he after Vader wins by countout, because Vader wins the match, but he can't win the title, right? By countout, we know that. So Cornette is going to goad Shawn. So Shawn's out of this whole thing. It's like, yeah, I lost, but I got my title. But Cornette is going to goad Shawn into restarting the match. And then Vader's going to win it the second time by disqualification when Shawn is going to beat the hell out of everyone with Cornette's tennis racket. So Shawn gets disqualified. So Vader wins for a second time. But again, he can't win the title by disqualification. So then Cornette is again going to convince the referees to restart the match. Vader's then going to kick out a sweet chin music, which is something we have not seen before. Shawn is going to survive a Vader powerbomb. Vader's going to go for the moonsault, like Tony was talking about. We get moonsault in this match. Shawn moves out of the way. He's then going to hit Vader with a moonsault of his own. His knee is going to hit a standing Vader in the head. And in the process, Shawn gets the win to retain the championship.
Okay, let's just talk about the last thing you said. That is what JR says on commentary to cover up the fact that Shawn almost completely missed this moonsault to win the match.
Yes.
Can I say that Shawn Michaels had the worst moonsault but one of the best workers ever to do it had the worst moonsault of anybody doing moonsault.
It makes no sense.
His only good moonsault was his springboard off the middle rope on the apron to the outside. That was his best.
To try to do an Asai moonsault was the closest he ever got to doing a decent moonsault. That
Vader's was better.
Was the shit.
Yes.
Vader's miss on the really close moonsault in the corner there. That is really good.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how good Shawn could do anything in the ring except execute a decent moonsault. And like we were talking earlier, is the moonsault easier to do than the shooting star press? Yes. But Shawn just could not execute a moonsault. I don't really understand why. He could do everything else. But
just not that.
Yeah, but this match was freaking crazy because of the whole aspect of, how many times are we going to restart this match?
Maybe he just wanted to leave one move for everybody else, You
guys, I get the moonsault. You guys can have everything else, that sort of thing. So, Tony, I'll go to you first. Your thoughts on the match in general and Shawn retaining the championship. Obviously, it was important for him to do that and get a win over a guy who a lot of people thought Shawn had no chance of retaining the championship against Vader. But he showed a lot of fight in this match and came out on top.
Yeah, it's a legitimizing moment as far as like a smaller WWE superstar being able to defeat someone of that caliber. Not just like, him and Nash having things going on, but like this dude is like heavy. I mean, heavy. Jim Cornette is priceless in this. The promo he gives before they come out, watch that. It's awesome. When he's standing behind Vader, sometimes you can see him, sometimes you can't. And what he says about Vader's about to go and beat Shawn Michaels is excellent. Shawn Michaels turns into Andre Agassi of the WWE at the time, taking that tennis racket and whooping everybody's ass with the earrings and the hair. Shawn just looks great. I'm ready for Jose Lothario to be gone, but Mike Chioda was in that match as a ref. And then
was he the ref, Mike Chioda?
He was one of the. I thought there was a couple refs actually.
Yeah, there were a few.
Bump in
but
there.
Chioda was out there with his light hair, and then there was one other dark-haired guy. I can't remember. Just watch.
Was it Tim White? It wasn't Tim White.
No, it wasn't.
I don't
Timmy.
think it was Tim White.
All effort.
Efforted out. Deej, your thoughts on this Shawn beating Vader to retain the championship here?
I hated it. And I've gone on record on this show as saying I hated the boyhood dream click era Shawn Michaels. I wanted that to be done and over with. It sucked. I was a Bret Hart guy anyway. This didn't do it for me. When Vader came on board, I have three thoughts about this match. One, Vader should never have been in a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match this soon in his career. And if he was going to be, he should have won it. They should have given Vader more time to adapt to WWE. He just came from WCW, spent years in Japan. Vader was used to working a different way. And
Jack Doan.
WWE, for as much as we love them, definitely has a style. There is a way Vince likes his workers to work, and Vader was not accustomed to that, which I think led to some of the mistakes in the match with Shawn. Vader can say, yeah, that was on me, that was on me. Jack Doan, okay. And that's fine. He manned up, took ownership of it. Shawn retroactively said, you know what, I was an asshole. And that is what it is, and history is what it is. I personally think Vader should have won this one. And honestly, as much as they seriously tried, Vader never recovered. And his WWF career was a disaster after this match.
To your point, do you guys know the original plan for this whole match?
My understanding is Vader was supposed to win.
It was supposed to be a non-finish. This match was supposed to be a non-finish. Then the Survivor Series match that we're going to get where Sid beats Shawn, that was supposed to be Vader's spot. Vader was going to beat Shawn in MSG. Shawn would win the title back in San Antonio. But because of the shit that happened in this match and Shawn saying, I can't work with this guy, he's too much of a lumbering oaf. The stuff you guys are talking about where Vader was more scared of Vince than Shawn. Well, Shawn pulled that card.
Maybe you should be more scared of Shawn than Vince, hey? Because Shawn's got Vince by the nuts right now.
Right. So Vader's out because of the fuck-ups in this match, and Shawn just saying, I can't work with this guy. Let's put Sid in there. So Sid is going to be the guy who dethrones Shawn, as we're going to talk about in the next episode of Big Five. But honestly, man, it's the next episode, the next installment of the Big Five that we're going to do. But that moment, DJ, and you and I just talked about this a couple weeks ago, when Sid comes out at Madison Square Garden, Vader's not going to get that reaction. There's no fucking way. So again, we see this time and time again, Vince gets lucky by the way things work out. Because Sid's pop at Madison Square Garden for Survivor Series 96 is huge. And flipping the belt to him in that moment made sense. Whereas I don't know if it would have worked with Vader.
Does Vince get lucky, or did Vince just really have that instinct? Because I truly believe, and I'm not trying to put over, the guy beyond being an excellent booker more so than people give him credit for. I think Vince had the instincts and looked at the totality and said, look, Sid is Sid. My fans, my WWE fans don't know Vader,
Here's a fat guy and a guy who's taller than him with huge muscles, right?
Who looks like a comic book superhero.
Right. And here's the thing.
We got history with Shawn and Sid too.
You can't call Vince lucky. You can't ever at any point. There's too much of a catalog to choose from, and without him, we're not even sitting here talking to each other right now. That's the bottom line, because Cold Steve said so.
Cold Steve said so. It's an interesting pivot that we're going to get to as we move to Survivor Series 96 and the very last pay-per-view of 1996, as we are getting dangerously close to 97, which is a massive year in WWF.
There's an In Your House in December, isn't there?
There is, but we're not covering that.
No, but I'm saying, there's another pay-per-view.
I think there is, but for our purposes, it ends at Survivor Series.
I wanted to bring that up for a reason, because in between now and then, if you guys have time, listeners, etc., I want you to. We talked about two people really a lot on this episode: Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley. Mick Foley's now the number one contender for the World Championship, and this next month in September is In Your House Mind Games, and Mick Foley will take on Shawn Michaels for the WWF title. And Mick Foley describes it as his greatest in-ring match of all time. Mick Foley has his peak right now. Enjoy as much Mick Foley matches as you can right now, because the character continues to grow and get better and better. The man can only do so much. Right now, he's giving you the best artwork of his life.
Absolute fact.
We know that In Your House is on Netflix. Do you want to do that as a side quest, honey?
No. I just want people to know that, check out the match. I just, as a Mick Foley guy and a Shawn Michaels guy,
If you've never seen that era, or if you've only heard about it, go back and watch it. Tunney's absolutely correct.
Well, it's like Tunney said, it's another legitimizing match for Shawn Michaels, especially heading into his match with Sid at Survivor Series. But kids, that's going to do it for SummerSlam 1996. But as we always do before we cut out of here, it's score time. Tuddy's already looking up what cage match gave SummerSlam. What do we got here? What do we got?
What do you guys think they gave it? Let's play that game. Let you guys guess. We never do that.
Probably.
Let's do this. You guys do this. We'll start with Dave. What do you think Cage Match rated it, and what do you think was their highest rated match?
The Cage Match probably gave it a 6, and the Boiler Room Brawl should be the highest rated match.
DJ?
6.5 from Cage Match, and again, the Boiler Room.
5.5 from Cage Match.
Oof.
Ooh.
Third highest rated match was Owen and Savio, 5.58. Second highest rated was 6.9 Boiler Room, and the world title match got a 7.46.
Fuck
No.
those guys.
I'm just
They're
this
off.
isn't not this is just the people that are logged in users that vote. So like 236 votes on the world title match, 134 votes on the Boiler Room match, 82 votes on the Owen match.
This is
So-
why I don't put any stock in Cage
Yeah.
Match.
No. It's just it's a user thing. There's no one person
No,
doing
I
it. and
got
it's
you.
a-
I understand what
it's
you're
a-
doing.
It's a great reference point, grain of salt. It's almost just a good thing to do along with Wikipedia if you're going to
It
really
is, but
research
too many
efforts.
people lean on Cage Match.
Oh, no, I get what you're saying. I agree with what you're trying to say, and I'm just trying to say use it as this type of tool,
The tool that we're using it here, absolutely.
not to tell you how good or bad things were.
Gotcha.
I will I'll give you my score first. What I gave SummerSlam 96. I gave it a 7.25 out of 10. I thought there's lots of good stuff here, including Davey Boy and Sid, one of the most shocking betrayals ever. Some really good undercard matches. Obviously, the Boiler Room Brawl. Main event I thought was pretty good. The Lawler versus Roberts kind of shit really drug this down a little bit. But overall, I thought it was a really good show for SummerSlam. Now, you wouldn't know it by the number of buys it got because I think this is like the lowest. How many? This one did horrible. It had the lowest
0.58.
buys of any.
0.58.
Dude, the lowest buys of any SummerSlam pre-WWE network. That's bad.
That's abysmal.
That is abysmal. DJ, what would you give SummerSlam 96 on a scale of 1 to 10?
Dave, you and I are right in the same wheelhouse, 7.25. The Fatal 4-Way Tag match dragged this down, and the Lawler and Jake the Snake match didn't help it. Those two matches there kept it from getting like a 7.75, maybe even an 8, because the Boiler Room Brawl match just elevates the whole thing. And for all the little things and the fact that it was overbooked all the shit, the main event was really good.
Tony, you're the East German judge as always. I love your communism.
Let me.
He's prefacing it, which means he's going to shit all over it.
I know. I'm
I
so much a
know.
capitalist, though. Fuck you. Here's the thing: as I watch my Capital One commercial with Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Spike Lee.
Nice.
Let me tell you why I'm hard on a lot of stuff. Because I expect you guys to give a slew of 9+ ratings to fucking the next 5 years. This is a 6. This is a 6. This is
That's
two.
what I thought Cage Match was going to be.
This has 2 matches to end the show. One is like a 9.5 and the other one is like a 7 because there's some weird shit, right? Everything else kind of sucked except for Owen Hart. Dude, you guys, you got to deduct some points for that fucking fatal 4-way elimination match and the dumbass fucking rule. That's the whole point off from the dumb fucking rule. Period. The rule? Fuck you. You get rid of that rule, this might be a 7. But it's a 6.
Henry Godwin was awesome. You get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah, well, every time I look at that match, I think of Naked Midian, so fuck you.
Naked Midian. God damn. Oh man, I don't think we can end it on a better note than that, guys.
I've been waiting to drop that one all night.
That is awesome, but that's going to do it for.
That
is
is
going to do it for this
another
episode.
Steve Housen.
I'll have as many as I like, brother. You are drunk.
Cursed. You are drunk and cursed. That's going to do it for this edition of the Big Five Project. Guys, it's good to be back. I've been waiting. We're a little bit late getting back to the Big Five Project here in 2026, but we're back now. We're going to see if we can get this thing more regular. As we mentioned,
until
next
June.
installment of the Big Five Project. What's that?
Until June rolls around. The Dragons come back.
God, we're gonna be busy.
We'll get crazy at that point. Like we said, Survivor Series 96, the next installment of the Big Five Project. It's a big event, massive title change, and some really awesome stuff. And then we're into 1997. But before we got out of here, social media stuff. DJ, what is going on over in the mindless corner of the universe?
You can catch myself, Rob, and Jason, part of the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, every weekend on the Chair Shot Radio Network. I also have my own solo podcast, 30 Mindless Minutes, doing a lot of cool stuff there, interviewing my friends, different people, talking about different slices of life, learning some things, telling some stories, having a good time there. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at the Mindless Pod.
Tony, what's going on your...
Tomorrow morning, check out Mindless Wrestling Podcast, and then Sunday morning, check out two-part for 30 Mindless Minutes where DJ and Ray Cash get together and talk about some things. That'll happen on the next consecutive Sundays. So we'll put that all together for you. Check that out. DJ's taken over the weekends for us, and it's just been amazing content. So make sure you're checking all that out. We truly appreciate it. We call it the Bearded Weekends. Beers and beards on the weekends. Let's go.
Beers and beers. There you go.
Follow me at PC Tunney. Make sure you're checking out the Chairshot.com, Chairshot Radio Network, attitudeofaggression.com, Dave's YouTube channel, you guys. You got to be there. You're here right now. If you're listening, go there and watch some stuff. It's so much more fun just to see us make faces at each other and things of that nature. So, yeah, it's so good to be back doing this. We talked about, like, this project is so important to me, and I think the same way for you guys, because, like, we're becoming WWE historians doing this, right? Like, we're creating a catalog of our thoughts for the entirety history of the WrestleMania era of WWE, and that's special to me, and it's special to me to do it with you guys.
And I just wanted to thank Mike for sticking around with us here today in the chat.
Our best
we know
fan.
Ray Cash bowed out on us.
He's watching SmackDown like a bitch.
But Mike stuck around with us. So, Mike, thank you for hanging out with us and being part of the chat. We really appreciate it. As far as me, well, you can't follow me on X anymore, as we all know the situation there. You can go to Blue Sky.
TBC.
We'll see if we can ever get a human being to look at this. But you can follow me on Blue Sky at Attitude Ag. But as Tunney mentioned, attitudeofaggression.com. The YouTube channel is still going strong. So go there and check out what's happening over there. We really appreciate it. And that, my friends, is going to do it for this episode and this installment of the Big Five Project. We will be back soon. I think we got an episode of Unidentified History that's coming up pretty soon. I think we're finally going to talk about the Kenneth Arnold's. Mike, you probably want to check out that one. That should be a good one. But until next time, guys, that's going to do it. For you wrestling fans out there, stay aggressive. Do it with attitude. We will catch you guys soon. So long.
Came into the ring and counted, but Vader kicked out a sweet chin music. What's it going to take to keep either one of these guys down? Michaels' shoulders on the canvas for some time. Here we go. Oh, no. Shades of Vancouver International Incident coming up, maybe. Shades of Raw just last week. It could be a Vader bomb right off those ropes. Michaels is helpless. Shawn Michaels on the mat. And this one's going to be over for sure now. Here we go. Vader coming up. All right. He's on the second round. Here we go. Michaels isn't moving. Now, wait a minute. Cornette's telling Vader to go to the top. That only means one thing. That's the moonsault. A 458-pound moonsault. Vader, here we go now. And Shawn Michaels reached down in his gut. Can he pull himself together? How much heart does he have left? How much heart can he have left? Where's he going? What's he doing? Michaels. Maybe with one desperate, high-risk maneuver left. Michaels. Oh. Michaels now. Michaels. Michaels. I can't believe it. I'm out of here, McMahon. I can't take it. Shawn Michaels.